Hey guys, so welcome back for another Yin Yoga class with me, Yogi Doug Johnson. And today we're doing my classic hip flow. So in this flow, we try and open up the four major myofascial compartments in the hips and the legs. So we do a half butterfly to open up the hamstrings, a kickstand or half frog to get the adductors. We do the sleeping swan to open up our glutes, and then finally a cattail or a half saddle to open up the quadricep and hip flexors on the front of the thigh. So I hope you enjoy this, and please remember, if you do, to give me the old like or thumbs up. That really does help in terms of promoting these videos and getting them out there, getting the word out there. If there's a question that comes up, if something I say is not clear or confusing, please leave me a comment, ask me a question. And then for more content like this, please subscribe to my YouTube channel or join my Patreon page to help support me a little bit financially. These are rough times for yoga teachers, so every little bit definitely helps. I hope you enjoy the class. Namaste. So let's start with we're going to start today's class with a half butterfly, and this is to target the hamstrings, which are the four muscles in the back of the right thigh. Okay, so in this posture, we want to feel the stretch right back here, okay? And as always, we want to feel that this is safe for our body. We aren't asking our body to do anything dangerous. And we're going to be here for 5 minutes today. As always, feel free to use the props. You could support your head, forearms, or torso with props, as well as your left knee. You could also try sitting on something, and this will push you forward a little more aggressively if you'd like a little more stretch. And I also want to mention, I don't recommend pulling or yanking yourself down into this pose. So just let the arms relax. You don't need to breathe in any particular way. Just let your breath be natural. And we'll be here for about 4 more minutes. Got about 1 minute left here. Okay, so gradually coming up and switching legs. Again, the most important thing is how the pose feels, not how it looks. So we want to feel the stretch in the back of the left thigh. Again, those are the hamstrings. We could also call those the extensor muscles of the hip, part of the extensor group. So we're stretching that. And also the other thing we want to feel is that this is safe, that we are not somehow hurting ourselves doing this. Again, in these forward folds in yin, we want to be nice and relaxed. We aren't making any kind of great heroic effort to make something happen, to be more flexible, to get our head to our knee or anything like that. Those things are not important. Plenty of people can do those things and they aren't any more enlightened or happy than someone who can't touch their head to their knee. So letting go of that kind of ambitious attitude, especially when we practice yin yoga, but I think in yoga in general, we want to let go of our ambition. That does not mean we let go of our discipline. It does not mean we let go of making our best effort. But there's a certain kind of striving that we want to let go of, and this comes from the idea that we are not good enough as we are. So we're letting go of this idea that we somehow need to be more perfect, or that we are trying to make up for some kind of deficiency, whether it's flexibility or strength or spirituality. We're not spiritual enough, we're not enlightened enough. Just letting go of that. We're doing our best moment by moment, but we're letting go of that idea, okay? We're going to be here for about 3 more minutes. just under a minute. Okay, so now what we'd like to do is rebound. And we rebound by just gradually making our way onto our back, kind of like Shavasana. In Yin we call this Pentacle pose. And basically we don't do anything for a few moments, we just feel. All right, let's bring our legs in, give them a little squeeze. This is the leg cradle. And we just try and release the tension that might result from having done those last postures. So this is our counter stretch. We rebound first and then we counter stretch. And then after our counter stretch, we use what we call the hinge to both stabilize the hips, which we've been stretching, and also to bring us upright. So to do the hinge, the hands go under the hips. We extend the legs straight up. Now, if there's any pain in your back, you're going to bend your knees. Otherwise, we keep those legs nice and straight. Lift the head and neck, take a deep breath, and as you exhale, you lower the legs toward the ground just before they reach. Inhale, pop them up, and exhale, let the legs pull you up to seated. Okay, now we come into a tabletop position. And what I'd like you to do is take your right leg straight out to the right, so like a kickstand, which is the name of this pose. And then once we're there, we have different options. The toes can point forward or up or away from me. My foot can, my ankle can point again forward or up. I can have my left foot flexed or pointed. I could have that foot pulled in toward my buttocks or back behind my knee. My hips can be over my left knee, or I can push them back closer to the heel. All right, and again, the way that I decide what I'm going to do is based on what I'm feeling. So there's certain things I want to feel, and there's certain things I do not want to feel. I want to feel a stretch on the inside of this thigh. It might be quite intense, or it might be gentle, just depends on your body. And I want to feel safe. I do not want to feel that what I'm doing is dangerous for my body once again. Now you'll notice I didn't say I don't want to feel pain, because sometimes pain or discomfort it can be part of the healing and growth process. That's just part of human life, unfortunately. So if we are always trying to avoid pain or discomfort, sometimes we end up being less healthy than we can be, less happy than we can be, and we don't grow as much as we potentially could. So you need to, in your own practice, again, this is something you decide for yourself. In your own practice, you need to distinguish between what is good pain, quote unquote good pain or good discomfort, and what is unsafe. Because sometimes pain is the sign that we're doing something that is not safe, that is dangerous for us. Okay? If you have any questions about that, just be sure to reach out and let me know, and I'll be happy to discuss it with you further. We're about halfway through. Okay, we're going to switch sides here. I call this pose kickstand, and it is basically a variation of what we might call a half frog pose. Again, exactly how you position yourself will depend on your body and what gives you both the most effective stretch and also makes you feel safe. Even though we don't want comfort to be the main driving force behind how we position ourselves in yin postures, it is a consideration. So if we're too uncomfortable, we will likely come out of a pose before the full length of time. And for anyone who is newer to yin yoga, I want to let you know that the time that we spend in the poses is very important. So it's not arbitrary that we're holding these postures for a long time. The longer we hold it, it has a different effect on our physiology than if we just flowed into it and then flowed back out of it again. About 4 minutes left here. Got about 2 minutes left here, and it's at this point that you might want to check in if you've sort of gotten lost in your thoughts. This might be a good time to check in back in with your body. If you are clenching your teeth or maybe making fists or breathing really heavy or holding your breath, then maybe you're a little too deep. Even though I said earlier that, you know, some discomfort can be essential to getting the most out of our practice, too much can be dangerous. And it can also just cause us to suffer. So if you're enduring a lot of sensation and you are reacting, as I said, holding your breath or clenching your teeth, making fists or something, then maybe just see if you can back off a little bit without coming out of the pose completely. Just 1 minute left. Okay, so I recommend maybe a child pose as a counter stretch, or not as a counter stretch, but to rest, to rebound in, or perhaps you just lay on your belly for a moment. From there, let's inhale to marauding bear, also known as bear pose. We just move our hips around, torso, give everything a good stretch. Just getting some blood flow back into different parts of the body. Okay. And then from there, we can tuck the toes and come into a down dog. And then same idea here. We're just bringing some blood flow into the legs. The way we do that is with movement. Very, very simple. When you move a part of your body, you're bringing some blood flow into that part of your body. Okay, sleeping swan is next. So the right knee comes toward the right wrist. The hips are down and back. And we could stay up on our hands, but most people prefer to do this on their elbows like so. Now you have a lot of options in this posture, so I want to quickly go over them. Your right foot, the front foot, could be closer to your left hip or pulled closer to the front edge of your mat. That foot could be flexed or pointed. Your right knee, the front knee, could be pointing straight ahead, but it could also point out to the right at an angle. We want to feel it here and not in the knee or the ankle. So again, I want to feel a nice, intense stretch here, and these are the glutes. Okay, that's what we're stretching. My hips could rock to the right or to the left. I could put a block or blanket underneath this hip if I want to help support it, but it's by no means required or even necessarily safer or better in any way to do that. Okay, so again, let what you feel guide you. Sometimes people like to use a block under their forehead. I think I might do that today. Again, absolutely not essential, but it can be helpful. It could make you more comfortable supporting the head with something in this posture. Got about 3 minutes left here. Okay, so just gradually making your way out of that pose into maybe tabletop or, again, a downward dog. Either one is a perfectly good transition for that posture. If you need to do a little counter stretching before you come over, that's okay. but eventually making your way onto the other side. Again, the important thing is not how deep the pose is or how challenging it is. What is important is how it feels. So I want to feel stretch in the outside of my left hip. Those again are the glutes. I've got 10 muscles here, and we're stretching maybe some of them more intensely than others. That's why there's so many different options on how to place the leg. You might find that each option I mentioned at the beginning is effective. They all stretch the outside of the hip, just in a different way. Okay? And once you find a stretch that you feel is effective and safe, then again, the key is just staying there for the 5 minutes. Once again, the time is very important. The time makes a difference. Just like when we cook food, right? If we cook something at a certain temperature for a certain amount of time, we get a delicious meal. If we mess up the time, even though the temperature might be right and the preparation might be right, we don't get an adequate dish. And so it is with yin postures. If I'm coming in and out of the pose the whole time, if I'm squirming the whole time, then I'm not going to get the same benefits as I would if I just hold the pose, okay? Got about 2 minutes left here. Okay, so let's come out of that pose, and I'm going to recommend you just gradually make your way back onto your back. And again, we rebound for a moment. Just relax for a moment. And then we bring our legs in, give them a little squeeze. Good, and so that's again the leg cradle. It's our counter stretch, just bringing a little bit of relief. And then with our hands under the hips, palms down, we extend the legs up. And again, we hinge up to seated. Okay, our next pose is called half saddle pose. And this might be the most challenging posture, at least for some of the people doing the class today. So what we'd like to do is take our right leg and fold it back like this. And I want to do that without hurting my foot, ankle, or knee. So if my foot and ankle hurt, I take a blanket like the one there, or a towel maybe that you have at home, and I put that underneath the foot. Okay. Now the foot could point back, but some people are more comfortable with the foot out to the side. The knee. If the knee hurts, you can try moving it out to the side at a different angle. Very often that helps. Or you can take a block like one here and sit on that. All right? Now, once you've found a comfortable position for your knee and your foot and ankle, you want to check and see if you feel a stretch here. These are your quads, quadricep muscle. So if you do feel the stretch, you're going to stay right where you are. So again, you're probably thinking, well, aren't I supposed to lower back? Well, there's no supposed to. What we're going for today is to stretch the front of this thigh. So if I feel the stretch and I'm upright, then going back doesn't make any sense. If I don't feel the stretch, then it does make sense to go back. And so I begin lowering back to my hands, elbows, right? If I have props at home, I could use the bolster underneath my torso. I could come back to the crown of my head or lay all the way back onto my back like I'm doing. Now, I'm not sure if you can see there, but my knee is off the ground. So this is a very common question in this pose. Is it okay if my knee comes off the ground? The answer is it depends. If it feels stable and safe off the ground, then it's perfectly fine. If it does not, then I recommend finding a different position. So the question isn't so much, does the knee need to be on the ground or not? The question is, does the knee feel safe? Sometimes pushing the knee down does not make it feel any safer. In fact, it might feel worse. It might feel less safe. Other times, letting the knee come up off the ground feels like the safest option, the best option. Now, what if you're all the way on your back and you don't feel the stretch at the front of your right thigh? Then what you can try is bending the left knee, placing that foot on the ground, like this. Very often that'll do the trick. If that's not enough, you could drop this knee out to the side. You could place your left foot on the top of your right thigh. And you could even reach down and grab the leg and pull it in manually. One of those options should work for most people, and if it doesn't work for you, just let me know and I'll be happy to show you how to modify the posture further. We're about a minute and a half in, and so we're going to be here for about 3.5 more minutes. Got just about a minute left here. Okay, so you may have to push yourself up to get out of that, or some people can just sort of roll to one side and release the leg. Either way, we're making our way to the other side. So this is half saddle, side 2. Again, please pay attention to your body and let that guide you in what choices you make and how you position it. Again, leaving behind this sense of ambition or this sense of unworthiness that we have something to prove with our yoga practice, that we are somehow worthy or we are a good person because we're good at yoga. This is very common for us as human beings. I think many of us learn at a very early age that I don't think anyone means to teach us this, but we learn, unfortunately, from those around us that we aren't good enough as we are. And this often sets up a lifelong endeavor to somehow prove our worthiness. Some of us try and do that through our physical appearance, our looks. If people tell us we're beautiful, then we somehow think we are worthy of love, of appreciation. Others, it's through their intellect. They study hard, they get good grades, they get a good job, and they try and prove that they are worthy of love and admiration because they're so smart. Others, it could be through athletics, through yoga. Again, if we get a lot of compliments in yoga, then we might start to identify as a yogi and think that doing difficult postures makes up for our deficiencies, that we should be admired for that. But if we really study yoga, we learn that none of these ways of trying to prove our worth is adequate. And that we have an intrinsic sense of self-worth that yoga, if really practiced in the right way with the proper guidance, puts us in touch with that. And in yoga, this is referred to as our true nature. And when we get in touch with our true nature, we no longer really question our self-worth. And so we want to be careful when practicing yoga of bringing in this sort of egoic ambition. We really would like to leave that at the door as much as we can. And to practice, once again, doing our best, always. But never trying to do better to somehow prove something to ourselves or anybody else. We have nothing to prove with these practices. A little less than 2 minutes left. Okay, so just gradually making your way out of that pose back onto your back again to rebound for a few moments. Now we'll bring our legs in and give them a little squeeze. And then this time we hinge down. So hands under the hips, extend the legs, lift the head and neck, take a deep breath, and we exhale, lower the legs just before they touch. We pause, take a deep breath, and exhale, coming into Pentacle pose. So in Pentacle pose, your legs could be together or apart. Your arms can be out at the sides in a T or Y position, or W. Sometimes this is called cactus arms, where the arms are bent. Feel free to put something underneath your knees, like 2 blocks, rolled blanket, or even a bolster, if that would make you more comfortable. During this phase of the practice, the most important thing now is comfort, because the more comfortable we are, the easier it will be for us to be still. Closing the eyes and just letting the whole body relax for the next few minutes. All right, yogins, I hope you really enjoyed that. Again, if you did, a thumbs up really helps out. Questions in the comments below, and then finally subscribe to the channel for more videos. And you can also help support me financially on the Patreon page if you get a lot from these videos and you want to help out. And I'd love to know, what was your favorite posture in today's class? Please leave that in the comments below, and I'll see you next time. Namaste.